and welcome back to EDH Deck Building. I am your host, Demo, and this video I'm calling Biggest Commander Surprises. I thought it would be interesting to go back and talk about the commanders, and I guess it's sort of a double entendre, because by commander I mean, of course, the format commander, but also commanders that I think were the biggest surprises. And just go back, look at some of the sets that are maybe a couple of years old now, and see sort of where everything fell in line. You know, I just did my video on commanders that I just don't see anymore, and I thought it would be interesting to sort of go through some of the more recent sets and actually see how popular the commanders were, how popular the sets were, and mostly though, what were the big surprises from those sets. And of course, for that, I'm going to use EDH Rec. It's the best resource, I think, for that kind of thing. It gives you a fairly good insight into the popularity of cards and commanders in the format. So I'm starting out with Throne of Eldraine. Okay, that's how far I'm going to go back with this. And the reason I'm starting out with Throne of Eldraine, and if you just look here, you'll probably see why I'm starting out with Throne of Eldraine, okay? Throne of Eldraine, in my opinion, is definitely the most impactful set that wasn't an actual commander set. As far as commanders go anyway, I mean, I'm not talking about cards in the 99. As far as commanders go, by far, Throne of Eldraine had the most impact on the commander format from a non-commander set, maybe even entirely including commander sets. I mean, look at these commanders. Korvold, Kenrith, Alila, Chulane. Those top four are some of the most popular commanders in the entire format, all from the same set. That's incredible. I mean, if we just look at the most popular commanders right now, Golos number 1, Atraxa still number 2, which is actually a little surprising. Korvold right there, number 3. Kenrith is number 4. Alila is number 8. And Chulane is number 13. So 4 commanders in the top 13. I mean, you also have Sir Gwyn, which is 2,500 decks, Torbrand 2,200, Emry. So you got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 commanders with over 2,000 decks. That's incredible. And then another 1, 2, 3 with over 1,000. I mean, really, is there another set, just as far as commanders go, that have had more of an impact on the format than Throne of Eldraine? I mean, it's just ridiculous. The only set that I think maybe has it beat in popularity is Commander 2016, you know, because that one had the 4-color commanders, which are all super popular because they were the first 4-color commanders. Though, even though if you look at the numbers here, I mean, you got Atraxa, Brea's pretty popular, and then it really falls off, you know. So, and then of course the partner commanders, right? The original partner commanders also are all pretty popular. So maybe the partner commanders sort of puts 2016 over the top, just because there is so many and they've been used in so many different decks. I mean, just Thrasios and Tymna, I mean, 4,600 and 5,000, yeah. I think 2016 probably still holds the crown for the most impactful set on the format, but man, Throne of Eldraine is close. Next up, we're talking about Pharaohs Beyond Death. And, you know, this one, not so much, right? I mean, you got Heliod here, you got Siona, Croxa. I gotta say, Uro, I'm really surprised that's not more popular. For me, that's the biggest surprise from this set is I can't believe that Uro wasn't. I thought that was going to be super popular. I mean, it's a Simic commander, it's drawing cards, it's putting lands into play. Like, it just seemed like such an easy build around. It's really surprising. Like, Heliod, a mono white commander. Is this maybe the only set that has a mono white commander as the most popular one? Possibly. Klothys is another one. Klothys I didn't think was going to be that popular. You know, I thought that ability, and I have a Klothys CEDH deck because I thought that ability worked in CEDH where I could just destroy all the lands and then I take advantage of the mana I'm making for myself and I just sort of just wear down my opponents with the damage. Maybe that's what other people are doing, I don't know. But just I add 1 mana to my mana pool or I deal 2 damage and gain 2 life is very underwhelming in Commander. So it's really surprising to me how popular that one is. And also Athreos. I'm really surprised that Athreos isn't more popular. I just thought that ability... I think what hinders Athreos here is that people went too much down the road of I'm going to steal my opponent's stuff with it. And that's the issue I had. I didn't make a deck like that at all. where you can just blink your opponent's creature with a Flicker Wisp and gain control of it, right? And I think a lot of people did that right out of the gate, and that made everyone hate it. So now when I bring my Athreos deck to the table, everyone's like, he just wants to steal our creatures. And I'm like, no, I just want to get my Ashen Rider back. That's, that was the deck that I built. But anyway, so that might be one of the reasons why it's not nearly as popular. Next up, Commander 2020, and this is a really interesting one. As we know, Ikoria and Commander 2020 came out at the same time, so a lot of overlap there. First off, you have the partner commanders here, and Paco and Haldan, the most popular partner combination. No big surprise there. The big surprise for me is Trin and Sylvar. I really didn't like over 1,000. Really? I didn't think this was very good at all. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people like it though. That one I thought was just going to be a complete dud. I thought Yannick and Nakara was way more interesting. I don't know. Sometimes interesting isn't what grabs people. Sometimes obvious is what grabs people. They like the fact that I can just attack with my Sylvar every turn and then get a human token off of Trin and sacrifice it. So, okay. I mean, whatever. To each his own, I guess. But then when you look at the non-partner commanders, not a lot of surprise here. Calamax number 1, Zaxara number 2, Gavi, Xyrus, a lot of really popular commanders there. Because, for me, Calamax is the power level's high and the build around is fairly obvious. Zaxara, same thing. Gavi, same thing, right? Xyrus, same thing. I'm a little surprised that Xyrus isn't more popular, though. I actually am surprised Gavi is more popular than Xyrus. That's surprising. In fact, I'm really surprised Calamax is more popular than Zaxara. I thought Zaxara would be number 1 in this set, mostly because it's Sultai colors. Powerful ability, interesting build around. It's doing something that no other commander does, right? You want to play X spells, Hydra Tribal. There's a lot of things going on there. So if I had guessed, I would have said it was Zaxara first, then Calamax, then Xyrus, then Gavi. But, at the end of the day, it sort of played out as I expected. Some of the surprises, though, Tayam, I thought Tayam would be more popular. 1,000's a lot, but man, there's so much you can do here with this ability of returning stuff from your graveyard. Again, though, I suspect that the combo potential is one of those things that, and again, I made a Tayam deck, I was playtesting it, and people were, oh no, he's going to combo off, everyone kill him first, and that's why I ended up taking the deck apart. So maybe that is one of the things that holds it back a little. Kelsien, wow, 824 decks, I did not see that coming. It's just a pinger. I mean, you give it Death Touch, okay, but that's it? Or what else are you doing with that deck? The fact that you're giving Kelsien +1/+1 for each experience counter you have. Okay, so now I guess you can do a Voltron strategy. A little surprising that it's as high as it is. Akim, the Soaring Wind, no surprise with that one. I'm actually surprised it has 156 decks. I actually tried to make a deck with that. Why did they have to make it 5 mana? This should have been a 3 mana commander, okay? This should have just been Jeskai colors and that's it. Blue, red, white, that's all. The fact that they made a commander with such an underwhelming ability cost 5 mana is baffling to me. That makes it almost unplayable. And I tried. I tried. I made a pretty decent deck with it, but the fact that you had to wait, you had to build your deck around your commander and then wait so long before you could get your commander out, I really didn't love that. Okay, so moving on to the sister set of Ikoria, and no surprise here. I mean, maybe a little bit of surprise. Nethroi, Kinnan, Winota, Riel. Okay, top 4. No big surprises at all. I was surprised Winota was as popular as it was. I didn't think it would be that popular. I mean, 1,300 decks is, okay. It's pretty good. We all know it's a pretty powerful deck. I mean, if you show up to a table with a Winota deck, chances are you're going to be the arch enemy, so that's saying something. Didn't think it would be number 3 in the set, though. I can't believe it. There's more decks than Riel. I thought Riel would be way more popular. Not even 1,000 decks? That's really surprising. I thought Riel would be like number 1 or 2. I thought it would be Kinnan number 1, Riel number 2. That's what I thought it would be. The funny thing is, Nethroi is sort of a combo. I just combo off and win, I think probably, right? I just get the appropriate creatures in my graveyard and then I get them all into play and win. I think that's how most people are playing that deck. Kinnan is pretty much just a CDH deck, right? Isn't it? I don't think anyone plays that deck outside of CEDH. Winota, same thing. Really teetering on the edge. I mean, you can make a samurai or werewolf tribal Winota deck, but mostly I think it gets played. Well, it does at least get played in CEDH, which says a lot about it. Riel, same thing. Very powerful deck. I think you could definitely make a CEDH deck with that. And then it really trails off, and Zerta is the one that surprises me the most. I just think there's so many ways you go with a Zerta deck. And, I really want to make that Zerta Rebels deck. I think that would be a really interesting deck. I have already a Zerta Goat Tribal deck, so I can't really make another Zerta deck. I just think, you can make a cycling deck. You can just do so many different things with it that I'm surprised it's not more popular. And other than that, though, not a lot of, the Mutate, I made the Snapdax deck for my Underwhelming Commanders. And it's not a surprise at all that the Mutate Commanders are not very popular. The Mutate ability really is just kind of, it's really hard to deal with, right? And then Yadaro, way at the bottom. There's actually 13 decks, which is pretty funny. I'm happy to see that somebody's actually trying to make that work. That really makes me happy. I'm not going to do it. The fact that you can't cycle from the command zone, man, wouldn't it be great if you could cycle from the command zone? Maybe the rules committee makes that change just for this card on its own. That would be pretty sweet. But I guess you'd have to add the commander tax, right? So every time it leaves the command zone, you'd have to add commander tax. So when you cycle it again, then it would cost 4, then it would cost 6. I think that would make an interesting build around. I'm actually really curious what people are doing here. Whenever you discard a card from your hand, you may sacrifice. If you do, return the discarded card from your graveyard to your hand. Wow, that's an interest. There's the only deck that card would ever work in, right? That's funny. Yeah, I love it. I just absolutely love seeing that people are actually trying to make this commander work. Really funny. I mean, you have to get it into your hand, though, before you can cycle it, though. That's the problem. Ironcrag Feet. Add 7 red. You can only cast 1 more spell this turn. There you go. Your commander costs 7, right? Yeah, so Ironcrag Feet, 4 mana, you get your commander out. Bam. Away you go. That's great. I love to see that. That's really fantastic. That makes my day. Next up, Core Set 2021. And we got Rin and Seri Inseparable at the top. No surprise there. Rada is a little surprised. I mean, it really trails off. Obviously, we go from 1,200 to 564 decks here. That's a big jump. Rada, even, red-green, lands commander. I'm thinking there's so many already. Omnath comes to mind. Mina and Den comes to mind. It's different. Again, we all don't want to play the same thing. So that's, there's nothing wrong with that. It just surprises me that it's not, that it is that popular, that it's number 2 in the set. Veto, thought would be a lot more popular. Mono black life gain. There's the combo potential there. I thought that would be a little, to me, it's weird to see Heliod, the white Heliod, at the top with 1,200 decks or something, and Veto, who to me is very similar with the combo potential, only has 535. Those are, they both cost 3 mana. They're very comparable. I'm surprised there's the huge difference there. And then, Mangara, it really trails off. Jolriel is a little surprising. I actually made a Jolriel deck. It was really interesting. Only 190. Man, that's really surprising. Maybe because there's so many other really good mono green commanders. I've made a Naomi deck as well. I made a Gadrick deck as well. I made a lot of decks from this set. I'm realizing. Made a Baron deck as well. This one actually is really surprising for me. Only 51. I thought, my immediate thought here was it's going to be a CEDH commander, because I thought there was a lot of combo potential there with bouncing stuff and returning stuff to your hand. You can do a lot of Sunder type effects where you bounce lands. That's why I thought it would work in CEDH. So I'm really surprised there's only 51. I might have to go back and make that deck again. Next up, Jumpstart. And again, we all know that there are hiccups with this set, right? I did a Kel's Fight Fixer deck already on my Underwhelming Commanders series. And, like a lot of people said, I guess it's hard to get your hands on these cards. So, I mean, I don't know, though. I looked on Card Kingdom and there was 8 Kel's Fight Fixers available and they were 79 cents. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the deal is there. So all of these, 6, Tiny Bones is number 1 with 677. That's really low for a set. Naiath 634. So not a lot of surprises here. I got a Zerzoth deck. Iniaz is the one that I think probably surprises me the most. Emiel too. Both of these, Iniaz and Emiel, are both. There's just a lot of really cool things going on. Man, maybe I'll make an Iniaz deck. That's a really interesting commander. I thought it would be really popular. Again, my Pegasus Tribal idea, I thought Iniaz would be really neat for a Pegasus Tribal deck. Because you could swap, you could give your opponent a Pegasus token. Here you go, have my Pegasus token, right? And just give your opponent Pegasus tokens while taking good stuff. Emiel, I mean, a lot of combo potential. It's a Blink commander. I guess maybe there's just too many Blink commanders. I said this about Rune in my, commanders you don't see anymore video, about how maybe there's just so many Blink commanders and so many Blink strategies now that Rune's sort of getting buried, and maybe that's why Emiel didn't really take off. I really don't think anyone's going to do the unicorn tribal thing either. Obviously, there's that there as well. But unicorn and blinking don't work together because I don't think there's any unicorns that care about blinking. Sethron, man, that one, like 267, that's really low. Not a lot of people want to play Minotaur tribal. Like, that's pretty good. Pretty decent as far as Minotaur tribal go. And then it completely trails off here. Yeah, not a lot of surprise. Muxus, there's just too many really good Goblin commanders already for that to get any play. Ormos, pretty sure nobody knows what to do with that deck, right? So yeah, not a lot of surprises with Jumpstart, I'd say. And the last set I'm going to be talking about today is Zendikar Rising, because I'm going to wait, like the next set after this, obviously, is Commander Legends. I'm going to wait a while before I cover that. You know, we want to wait. It's been, how long has it been for Zendikar Rising? I guess it hasn't quite been, it's been about 8 months or so, right? So I think that's enough to sort of flesh everything out. And obviously, Omnath, number one, shocking. You know, a 4-color commander that has a really great ability. I think this has been banned in a couple different formats, right? Maybe standard or modern. I think standard it got banned in. 2,500 decks already in only 8 months. Not a big surprise. Not a surprise at all. And then huge drop off, right? We go from 2,500 to 661 with Akiri. This one, you know, I'm thinking a Boros commander that draws cards. I don't know. There was so many Boros, and I said this when I did my Commander Legends review. There was so many Boros or an equipment commanders all in a row with Akiri and all the other ones from Commander Legends. Again, they just got overwhelmed. So maybe that's why some of these commanders didn't get more attention. I thought Akiri would have been more popular had it not been for that. Aura is one that is kind of surprising. I just thought, again, it's sort of an obvious build around, right? You're playing Cleric Tribal. People like Tribal. I don't know. Are people getting sick of tribal? It seems like a lot of these tribal decks, because it used to be everyone would be begging for this tribal and that. Oh, we need ninja tribal, or we need, you know, Minotaur tribal or whatever. But now maybe people are getting sick of doing that, or maybe they want to do other stuff. Tribal decks can tend to be just aggro typically. So maybe that's why people don't like it as much. Ashaya, man, this has only got 488 decks. The potential for this commander, very similar to Eudora, where it just has such a unique, interesting ability that there's a lot of ways you can go with it. Man, I saw somebody do here's a great thing you can do with it. Non-token creatures you control are forest lands, which means you blow up the board with an Oblivion Stone, and none of your creatures die because they're all lands, right? Because it kills all non-land permanents. So that's pretty good. Really surprising. That's probably the biggest surprise for me, just because of the silly things you can do with it. Only 488 decks. Tazri, really, like for a 5-color commander, that is brutal. 474. But again, there's already another Tazri. This party thing really didn't take off in Commander. It's too hard to do, right? It's too hard to just get a creature in play of each different type and then keep them around long enough to actually use it. So that doesn't surprise me that much, even though for 5-color commanders, you don't see them that low very often. Verazal, I mean, yeah, it's a kicker commander, you know, definitely down there as far as Simic commanders go. Phylath, again, another Gruul lands commander. I think we've sort of reached our saturation level there. Kaza, blue-red, wizard, you know, instant and sorcery / commander. Again, just a lot of the same old stuff. So maybe there just wasn't a lot of interesting ideas here. It's just a lot of the same old thing, maybe. Although Ashaya seems pretty interesting. And then towards the bottom, there's some unique commanders here. Like, I like Charax, I like Yasharn. Zareth San, probably the biggest surprise for me. Yeah, this is the biggest surprise for me. I was going to make one, and then I didn't make a Zareth San deck, because I'm like, oh man, that's going to be so popular. There was so much rogue tribal support in this set that I thought this was an easy build around. And whenever Zareth San deals combat damage to a player, you may put a permanent card from that player's graveyard on the battlefield under control. People love that stuff, don't they? Like the Gaunties and that kind of stuff. People love taking their opponent's stuff and using it. I can't believe this guy's not more popular. Plus, he has that very unique sort of ninjutsu-esque ability, basically where you're turning your rogues into ninjas, sort of, where you're picking up your... Man, this seems like a really great deck. I have so many Dimir decks already, though. I don't think I want to make it. I can't believe there's only 101 decks with Zareth San. He seems really interesting, really unique, really fun build around. stealing your opponent's stuff seems pretty, like you just mill your opponents a little bit and then just take that big creature, that whatever in their graveyard, and put it into play under your control. That seems pretty darn good. Real big surprise there. And then of course we got to check out the Zendikar Rising commanders, because that's when they started doing that. It wasn't bad enough that they were printing commander cards in standard sets, that now it's just, let's just do commander sets every single time we do a standard set, which is kind of just, I don't know, a bit much, but you know, I've sort of beaten that dead horse a little bit too much already. So I think you guys get the point. So we got Anawan 1900 decks. Wow, that's pretty good. Again, so now we're doing Rogue Tribal, we're doing milling. I look at Zareth San and I think, okay, he's very similar Rogue Tribal and milling and stuff, but yet he's super unpopular. Maybe it's a case though where there is, like, I think these are precons, right? And I think the precon commanders tend to be a little more popular just because they are precons. So people tend to run out and buy them and then, you know, make adjustments, obviously. Obun Moldaya Ancestor, you know, Naya Lands Commander. I mean, this is definitely reaching saturation level when it comes to land. And I get that Zendikar Rising was a landfall land set, but this is enough. Enough, guys. Enough with the lands commanders. Let's just leave it alone for a while, okay? I mean, if you just look at these two guys, Anawan 1900 decks, Obun only 800, like less than half. Probably, I would imagine they could tell from the amount of precons they sold also that one was way more popular than the other. Yeah, I think we've had enough of that. So that is pretty much it. I'm just going through the sets and I thought, you know what, I'll just go through the sets and see where are the surprises? Where are the commanders that maybe I thought or maybe other people thought would be a lot more popular, and why? Why are they not so popular? Some of them, I think it's obvious where you want to go, and I think a lot of people are attracted to them right away. And then because of the theme that you're playing, like maybe you're stealing your opponent's stuff, or maybe there's a lot of combo potential there, it makes you become the arch enemy. So then people start to shy away from that commander. I've seen that happen a lot. So I think that's the case a lot of the time. It's just interesting, I think, to see where these commanders shake out after they've been, you know, sort of out in the wild for a while. So I guess I'll be doing this video again, I don't know, every 6 or 8 months, something like that. But that is it for today. And thanks for tuning in.